Well, it's Tuesday afternoon, and I got two little stories I want to tell you if we have enough time. It's so hard for me to get the camera and my table and everything in the scene. I do really need a cameraman or a camera woman, if you know one that works for free and knows what they're doing. Now, you see I'm wearing my glitzy blouse today. This is one of the prettiest tops I've got. And I'm wearing earrings that are antiques. I'll show those to you later. I'll tell you the story about them too. There's a story with just about anything I've got. So I'm going to start off with my table settings. Some people like to see table settings. It's not easy to do when you're trying to set a table for one and two, because I have to drop the long leaves down and see what tablecloth will fit, and this time it's just a little square one and with a table runner across it. Now what I'm showing you are a few pieces of my Fostoria. I thought I would include them, and I'm going to show you the table setting. I hope if you zoom your camera, you might be able to see these things better. I'm going to have to lift things probably. All I've got is a little bowl of peaches, some strawberries, some cookies, just something to dress up the table so that it looked like it's set for company, and a little cordial on each end. Now, I love these little glasses. I think they're little wine glasses. You see? So I can take a sip now and then while I'm talking to you. It's fresh peaches, fresh strawberries, and I'm going to cut them up and put sugar over them later. You see my little frogs, and oh, you can't see it with this glass. I'll move that over so you can see my little frogs. Love my little frogs. I like to put them on every table setting. So we're going to start out with the two-place setting. We've got the iced tea glasses. We've got the little cordial glass or wine glass, whichever you prefer. I've got my little Fostoria vase with my pretty little flowers in it. I think they're pretty. They're not real. I don't buy the real ones. It's a waste of money. And then I've got the cream for the strawberries, the peaches, the cookies, whatever. We're pretending today. This is not for real. It's just so that the table looks pretty. So I'm going to move things a little bit, and it'll mess it up, but you'll still get to see what I've worked with. I want you to see the table setting. This take my little frog out. Here's a little dish. It's a little berry bowl. This is blue garland, made in the United States. This is a set of dishes Jan gave me for my birthday last year. And I was just tickled. Oh, it's got so many pretty pieces. I'll show you some of the pieces in a minute. This is another little plate I'm using. It's actually just a saucer for a cup, but it worked great when you wanted something for the little berry bowl. That worked great. And then the next is the little sandwich plate of the blue garland. That goes next. We don't always use this many dishes when we're eating, but it makes a pretty table setting anyway, and then you can remove what you don't need. Now my tiny napkins, I've got a small tablecloth that matches them. I love these. I got these at an estate sale. The lady had all sorts of linen lined up on the back of her couch, and I took one look and nearly swallowed my tongue. I knew I wasn't going to get out of that house without some of those linens, and I didn't. Here is the plate that comes next. It's so shimmery pretty and has the platinum border. I don't think these dishes have ever been used. I found these when I went to the beautiful table setting bash in Alabama last March. And on the way back, we stopped at a little thrift shop on the side of the highway. It didn't look like much, but when you got inside, it was big and had a lot of stuff. And I got I don't remember, 4 or 6 place setting of these dishes for $25. I like to tell you the price of things to let you know that when you're out there looking, these things do exist. These bargains are there, even though you think you're never going to find one. I've got my spoon on the back of my charger. Now, I've never used a charger in my life. Didn't know there was such a thing until a little while back when they started selling them at Hobby Lobby and places like that. But look at this charger. See how pretty that is? And you put this plate against that. I'm going to try to do it without breaking it. See how pretty that is? Doesn't it make a very pretty table setting when you're getting ready to eat? And piece by piece, these are taken off the table as you receive each serving. I'm just going to put this right back where it was. My silverware is silver plate. I don't even remember the name, the pattern. But I put it all on one side rather than separating it. And this little spoon goes back up here on the charger because you'll probably be using it if you were serving yourself something. And my little frog goes back in the little bowl so that you can see how pretty it looks. Now, I'm going to, let's see what I missed. Oh, right here. I want you to see this dish. Can you see it? You see what I've done? I think this is a mayonnaise dish. And if it isn't, it doesn't matter. It's a dish for whatever I want to put in it. Today, I've got peaches and shriveled blueberries. My blueberries were in the freezer, and I got them out, and I said, well, they'll work for picture taking anyway. And if you'll notice, I've got my little serving. See the little serving spoon? I love these little things. You got any of these that you don't want? These little serving pieces? Remember Granny Pat? I'd love to. I've got just a few pieces, but I'd love to have a nice collection of these. So that would be what you would take out the peaches and the blueberries with. But I want to show you under the mayonnaise dish, which is loose, is another Fostoria dish. I guess you'd call it a bonbon dish because it's got the 3 feet under it. But what's in it is what I want you to see. You see how pretty and crystal looking this is? I happen to have quite a few Aurora Borealis necklaces. Quite a few. If I don't have them, Jan has them. And I don't know how we managed to come up with so many, but they really work so well if you're trying to do a formal decoration on a table or anything. You could cover a Christmas tree with these and it'd just be glamorous. But I went in the bedroom and I pulled out a whole handful of them. I said, let's see what we can do with these. So I lined them around my dish. You see what they are? This is what they are. This is one necklace right here. Nice, pretty. It's hard to get it to where you can get a good look at it. But anyway, that's one of them. And there's 2 or 3 more, 4 more in this dish. Now you see what that does for your table setting to have those. My candle holder is the 3-stem candle holder. I was visiting my sister, oh gosh, about 8 months ago in Western Kentucky, and we went out looking for thrift shops, Goodwill. We didn't find too many, but we went into an Amish Goodwill store. It wasn't Goodwill, it was a thrift shop. Everything in that shop was so clean. It looked like they had taken the linens and taken them home and washed and ironed them before they hung them on hangers. The dishes looked like they had been cleaned before they were put on the shelves. And I spotted this triple candle holder, excuse me, triple candle holder, and I thought, oh gosh, I gotta have that. The lady charged me $1.25 for that. Well, their things were marked so low that I thought, oh, I don't even know how they make any money. So as we were leaving, the three of us girls, we each bought something, and after they went on out the door, I handed the lady a couple extra dollars for the candle holder. I just felt like I was stealing it at $1.25, and I think it is so pretty. It would make any table setting look nice. Now let's see what else is on the table that you need to have described. Oh, this little dish goes with the gray and white with the platinum trim, and I've got a little spoon in there. But this is attached, and what I did with that, I added more borealis crystals around this dish too. You're going to have a fancy table when you get through decorating everything with the borealis. And of course, this is my little Fostoria vase and my little artificial flowers. Now, someone really serious about decorating the table would have live flowers. But I don't have anybody that's going to see these flowers. They're just going to sit there and they're going to wilt, and I'm going to throw them in the trash, and I'll have spent $30 on them. No, we get by with the artificial just fine. Now, go back to this little table right behind. I hope you're hearing me okay from the distance. I've got something I have to move. I've got my little plates, and I've added forks. Okay, here's another little Fostoria vase. Isn't it sweet? Just for, if you had two of them, you could put one at each table setting. That would be as pretty as a whole bouquet in the middle of the table. Now, let's see, I'm going to move this. And I'm going to move the candle holder and hope you can still see what I want you to see. Do you see the teapot? Can you see the teapot? This goes with the blue garland, and I put a long necklace around it just for accent. You can see it. Sugar and creamer to one side and more napkins. Now this is a little side table that if you were actually serving a tea or luncheon or anything for two, and you needed space to put your dish, your main dishes, this little table would work perfect, and all you have to do is just reach over from the table, go back and forth. I like the idea of having, since I don't have the big buffet, which is 6 feet away, it's just too big and too clumpy looking, and I thought this is just ideal for two people. So that's what I'm showing you today, to say what you can do with your own table. Now my table is a drop leaf cherry table. It's quite common. And my chairs, can't really see the chairs, but anyway, I've got the chair. The chairs have I spilled the wax. The chairs have a story themselves, so that needs to be saved for another time, because you'll enjoy that story. I'll try to remember to tell it to you. So anyway, this is the table setting you've got. Now we're going to go back here, and I'm going to move some things, because I want to tell you two little stories. I'm going to start with this. I want you to see this is actually a Christmas ornament. Can you see her? Let me get a bit. I've had her a long time. I've had her about 25 years, and she's on a stick. But if you took her off, you could hang her on your Christmas tree. And see her curls down the back. The little bonnet with all the little handmade blue flowers. This was given to me as a gift at a Christmas party. And the reason it was, take a close look at her face. Isn't she pretty? Okay, this is just a sample of what I want to tell you about. There was a lady, while I was living in Tennessee, she made her own dolls, Walker Doll Company. And I had seen some of the dolls she made, and she did excellent work. Her major creation was called Georgia Peach. Every year she made a new Georgia Peach doll. And of course, I know there were collectors who collected nothing but Georgia Peach dolls. Each was very different from year to year. Well, I went to her because I was very interested in how she made her dolls, because I always liked to make doll clothes and things. And she had workers working on the dolls and their clothing and their accessories and everything. And I said, could I work for you? I wanted something to do at home, a project. So she gave me patterns with fabric. Now the fabric already had the pattern cut, the directions and everything. She gave me all the materials for making a doll dress. This was a little, what you might call a brother and sister doll. I used to have a photograph, can't find it anywhere, of the one and only one I made. I'm going to tell you one of the reasons these dolls cost so much money. Because if you've ever had to make one from scratch, you'd be charging a lot more money than she did. I went home and I had lace and elastic, and I had little snaps and the cutout pattern for the dress, the bonnet, the petticoat, and the pantaloons. Now this is for an 8-inch doll. You know how much 8 inches is, about like that right there. 8-inch doll. You know what it's like trying to make a sleeve with a little trimming on it and turn that with your own fingers? You just barely can get it turned. Everything you're doing is full, gathered so tight, because her skirt is very full. Then she's got the petticoat, which is very full, and each one is trimmed in lace. The little collars are trimmed in lace. The sleeves are trimmed in lace. It goes on and on. You've got ribbon to attach. Well, you can look at that little girl there and see her bonnet alone has feathers, it has little roses, it has lace. Just the bonnet. So I finished making that dress, petticoat, pantaloons, on and on. took me a week. My pay for that one doll was $6. Now, I only made one doll dress. That was too much for me for $6. But you can see by what I've described, all it takes to make something like that, plus molding the entire doll. Don't question the price when you see one next time you're in a doll shop or where they're selling pretty handmade dolls. Don't ever question the price, because it would be an insult to say that doll cost too much because you didn't make it, and if you had made it, I'll guarantee you would charge that much and more. So this was the little gift that she gave all of us, the workers, had worked for at her Christmas party. Now, that alone she sold for $60. No, it doesn't look like it's worth $60. But I didn't mold that little face, and I didn't paint that little face. I don't know how the wigs were made. They were probably ordered already made. But you think about that. That's the only one I've got. But I can't remember the name for the little brother and sister doll that I made. I must have made the boy doll clothes too, because they were a set. And with that set came a tag that had a number on it. The number 3 was on my tag. Somewhere in this United States, someone bought the brother and sister doll that I made the clothes for. I'd just love to know who they are. And the number 3 is on my tag. There's only one number 3. You know, that's kind of nice to know that someone cared enough and wanted something you made. Wish I'd made the doll too. I'd be in business for myself. So I wanted you to see her, and I wanted you to know one of the little projects I had at one time. I've had lots of projects, but that was one of them. Now the next thing I want to show you is a bird cage. If I can get it right. I'm going to bring it up close. You've got to see this close. This is a porcelain bird cage. You see the bird on a little swing. Take a close look. See the hook at the top? Now these go all the way around and they snap out. And you can put them right back in. Get them in place. There you are. Now the thing about this little bird cage that's unique is that let's see, I don't know which way to start. Can't see that too well, can you? I'm gonna move this down a little. I want you to be able to see it right there. Okay. I use this bird cage every year at Christmas. I had a hook that came out on the wall, you know, a hook like this. And that little loop you see at the top went on that hook. And it hung next to my piano in the living room. And it had a little Christmas Eve sprig at the top, little ribbon. That I just thought it just, sometimes you need a finishing touch to something. My little bird cage was a finishing touch, and I just loved it. Okay, Christmas one year, it was over, time to put away the Christmas decorations. I reached up and I got hold of the bird cage by the hook, like that. Held it by the hook. I'm gonna have to hold it in two parts because I don't want. I held it by the hook like this. And when I did, the little screw that went down inside had worked a hole, and it came out. The bird cage hit the floor. 100 pieces. I was sick. 100 pieces. I said, no, I'm not sweeping that up and throwing it away. I'm going to put it back together. So I got a paper plate, that's the only thing handy, and I picked up piece by piece the pieces of that bird cage. And when I got down to the small pieces, I'd lick my finger and I'd pick it up that way and laid it in the paper plate. Now you're going to think I'm crazy. I spent a full day gluing those pieces back together. You had to match them up first because you had inside pieces and outside pieces. You had to make sure you got them in the right order. Just like a Rubik's Cube, you got to work it just right. And I did. And I finished that bird cage. It not worth a dime to anybody else but me. I've had it all these years, at least 25 years. And I'll keep it till my heirs decide we don't want this, and they toss it. Now, luckily, the little bird didn't break. So I was able to put him back on his little stem there, that whatever little piece of wood. And he swings away at Christmas time. So I wanted you to see that bird cage, but there's more to this story. This is the important part. I was watching reruns of Route 66. Everybody has seen Route 66, and you probably saw the reruns too. And we've always remembered Route 66 because of Martin Milner and George Mahaffey. They were the two young men going across the country in their, I think they were in a convertible, probably a Chevrolet. And they were going across country, and they would stop from town to town. They would find a place to stay for the night. And in this case, I was watching, were looking for a place, and they stopped at a boarding house. One of those old boarding houses, you know the kind I'm talking about, the kind that's in all the old movies. Dark, you got upstairs the old furniture, and the landlady takes them in to show them the room that they're going to rent. They go up the first landing, the first set of steps, then the landing, and right in the corner of the landing was a small table. Had a couple little ornaments on it, and I looked, and there sat my birdcage, exactly like my birdcage. I thought I was going to swallow my tongue. My birdcage on Route 66. Yeah, that sounds silly. Sounds like a teenager, doesn't it? Not a grandmother. But I said that gave me even more reason to want to treasure my little porcelain birdcage. because I had seen it on Route 66. So folks, it's amazing what pleases people, different time, different places, different things. And usually the things that please me are quite simple. They don't mean much to anybody else. I'm going to stop and I'm going to have a little drink, a little sip of my cordial. This is one of the things that makes tea for two nice, is when you've got a cordial. And I never did drink anything like that all these years. I didn't know what it was. But now I do know what it is. And you can buy the mixed drink to use for these and add whatever you want to top it off. I didn't add anything. I want you to know that. Because I want to stay alert. Just to see my shirt. Now, I said I was going to tell you about the earrings. These earrings I bought from a neighbor of mine, an elderly man. He had a small antique shop just a few blocks from here. And it was in a cottage. I call it a cottage because today that cottage is probably 100 years old, well kept. And occasionally I would go in his little shop and look around. Never did find anything that appealed to me, except one day I spotted these earrings. Okay, let me see if I can get it up here where you can see it. I need more light on it. I wonder if this will work. No, that's not gonna work. Anyway, if you can see this earring, I'm gonna try to hold it a little different. These are my favorite earrings. They're well made. They might even be made by a designer, but there's no room for a designer's name that I can tell. Could be in there and I can't see it. But I just wanted you to see these earrings. And every time I wore these earrings, if he was in the lobby when I was leaving the building, the first thing he noticed were my pretty red earrings. And he always commented on them. He's been gone several years now, but I always think of him when I put these earrings on, and I just want to thank you. These are my favorite earrings, and they're well made. So anyway, you know, when you find something like that, you treasure it, and you should. So that kind of finalizes my story for today. I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut my strawberries and put sugar on them. I'm going to eat my peach because it is very ripe and juicy and looks delicious. The blueberries, well, I'll just have to say they've seen their day and they get tossed. I hope you appreciate what I've shown you today. I don't know if I can lift the camera and let you see the table a little better. It may not work, but we'll find out. Let's see. There's the bird cage. There's my strawberries. I can't work this thing right. And there's the cordial over to one side and my pretty candle holder. So, I'm gonna leave you looking upside down. You have a good day, and I'm gonna work on a good story for you. you need a good story. These are just flimsy little things that I remember and hope that you'll appreciate what you see. So, I'm ready to sign off. See my pretty blouse. I like my blouse. Take a look at that. Let me set it back up here so you can see. See? Isn't that nice? Oh, I forgot. I was going to wear my black glasses, and I forgot to put them on. Well, you'll see them next time. Thank you for watching, and please comment. Thank you. Well, it's not going off. What am I going to do now? That's strange.